Today on Connecticut Yankee Sanity, we'll talk about internet censorship. The Library of Congress, the world's largest, houses a collection of more than 16 million books, plus 120 million other items and collections. The New York Public Library holds 55 million items in its 92 branches. The internet, by comparison, has an estimated 1,940,000,000 websites and serves an estimated 4.1 billion users. Google alone processes 5 million searches each day. Together with Facebook and Twitter, it accounts for the preponderance of the world's internet traffic. The gods be praised for access to so much information from one's computer or iPhone. In a democratic society, the providers of that access have a responsibility to allow open inquiry and free speech and to provide balance. But our internet giants apparently have their doubts about that. Theirs isn't exactly fake news, but selective search results, recommendations, and content. What they recommend or fail to recommend either supports knowledge or fosters ignorance. Today we'll focus mainly on Google, but my comments to one degree or another apply to the three of them. Coincidentally, just last week, Twitter detonated another public relations bomb by canceling the Senate Majority Leader's account. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Instances of Google and its subsidiary YouTube taking down videos, suspending accounts, or recommending content inconsistent with user preferences have prompted Congress to investigate. This is not an entirely positive development, as we all know what happens when the government gets involved in something. The targets of Google's presumed bias are, for the most part, not liberals, but people and organizations with a conservative inclination. In 2016, according to congressional testimony, Google employees contributed $1.35 million to the Clinton campaign, becoming her biggest block of donors. To Mr. Trump, they contributed $0 to the 10th power, or if you prefer, $0 to the 20th or 30th power. That is, lots of zeros with no whole numbers in front of them. Google tends to be autocratic in taking down or restricting content or blocking accounts. No explanation is given except that the offender has violated some guideline. Dennis Prager of Prager University, in testimony before Congress last month, cited a video they produced on the founding of Israel. It was placed on the restricted list. That means that families who have content filters don't know it exists. With difficulty, Prager penetrated Google's automated defenses and spoke to a human being who promised to look into it. The video remained restricted. He eventually learned that it was taken down because it included a reference to murder in a discussion of the Ten Commandments. Moses came out against it. Quote, "It not only hurts us in that families can't see that video," Prager said, "it hurts us because it's a statement by Google that the university produces videos on the moral level of pornography," unquote. Tulsi Gabbard, a congressman from Hawaii and contender for the Democratic presidential nomination, had a different experience. In June, at a critical moment in her campaign when searches for her name were soaring, Google suspended her advertising account. Why? It was a billing problem. Then it was an irregularity in the buying pattern. Aha, the Russians up to their old tricks. Ms. Gabbard is suing Google for $50 million. But let's put that into perspective. The founders, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, are worth $53.5 billion and $52.1 billion, respectively. To these guys, a $50 million lawsuit must be laughable, like a 10-cent fine on an overdue library book. The 24-year-old conservative Canadian Lauren Southern, who has had her share of run-ins with YouTube and Patreon for reporting on what's actually happening in the world, produced a nonpartisan video on Middle Eastern refugees in Europe. Called Borderless, it consists in large part of refugees speaking about their experiences in their own words. Southern made an effort not to include anything in the production that might even remotely piss off the Google computer. The video was blocked. Borderless is back up now, but who knows when it'll trigger another takedown. Such actions have financial implications too, as the producer is cut off from his supporters and his income. Finally, we have Senator Mitch McConnell, who made the foolish mistake of releasing a video of leftist goons who, outside his home, were carrying out Maxine Waters' notorious in-their-face call to action. They were people of the sort you can imagine, mental midgets, the whole rabble of them, calling for, in language I won't repeat, the knifing of the Senate Majority Leader through the heart. If you're Twitter, you don't want that kind of documentation of leftist tactics floating around the internet where just anybody, the whole world for example, can see it. They therefore froze the senator's account on the grounds that it violated their violent threats policy, specifically threats involving physical safety, unquote. Now, follow the logic closely. By uploading a video of thuggish demonstrators threatening him, Senator McConnell, not the demonstrators, was promoting violence. Get it? Twitter refused to unfreeze the account until he took the video down, but eventually they decided that, well, maybe they'd suck it up and restore his feed. I suspect reasonable Democrats, that is, the majority who aren't in positions of power, don't like this kind of abuse any more than Republicans do. Whether Twitter gives a damn is another matter. I'm not aware that Senator McConnell received an apology. But let's return to Google. It has become so powerful that it can influence elections. Dr. Robert Epstein, the former editor-in-chief of Psychology Today, a clinical psychologist and a Clinton supporter who has studied social media behavior, told Congress that calls to get out and vote by, say, Facebook, whose segmentation capabilities stop just short of knowing users' bathroom habits, can be aimed at Democrats only, and no one will know. Hillary Clinton, Dr. Epstein says, picked up at a minimum 2.6 million votes that way in 2016, and perhaps as many as 10.5 million. With capabilities like that in Silicon Valley, who needs the Russians? It's ironic that Google's Sergey Brin, who was born in the Soviet Union and whose parents settled here when he was a child, should be a principal and co-founder of a company employing practices usually associated with the Russian news agency TASS. Internet censorship combines cowardice with lust for power. It's a confession of lack of confidence that the ideas approved of by Google can prevail without blocking or de-emphasizing opposing ones. It goes against everything our democracy stands for. I understand that Alex Jones, say, is a bigoted loudmouth who would grate on the sensibilities of their computers. I find him insufferable myself. But I don't have to watch him, do I? Google deplatforms him. They don't answer for it either, until now. The Google algorithms are a more closely guarded secret than the Coca-Cola formula, but their effects are not. Representative Gabbard's lawsuit states, quote, "The policy guiding these actions is made absolutely clear in the April 25, 2017 blog post by Google's Vice President for Engineering, Ben Gomez, and the updated Search Quality Rater Guidelines published at the same time. The post refers to the need to flag and demote unexpected offensive results, hoaxes, and conspiracy theories. Broad and amorphous language used to exclude any oppositional content," unquote. That gives Google leeway enough, I'd say, to do whatever it pleases. I'd rather not see the government policing the internet, but if the internet gods, three of whom have become richer and more powerful than any king or dictator ever was or is likely to be, don't operate in harmony with the fundamental freedoms enshrined in the laws of our country, government intervention may be unavoidable. We're dangerously close. Google's Brin, as an immigrant from a totalitarian country, is behaving in a manner distressingly similar to fellow immigrant George Soros. Page is apparently just another dime a dozen liberal who's hit it really, really big and wants, along with Mark Zuckerberg, to save the world from Donald Trump. The three of them ought to rethink it before Washington, D.C. becomes their Waterloo. Thanks for watching. Please click like and subscribe and forward the link on to your friends to support the channel. We'll see you back here next time.